Agenda item, public hearing on proposed revisions to 19 TAC Chapter 126, Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills for Technology Applications, Subchapter A, Elementary, Subchapter B, Middle School, Subchapter C, High School, and Subchapter D, Other Technology Applications Courses.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Ratliff.
I want to put the rest of the board members on notice. Due to what I do professionally, I represent companies before the Texas legislature in the technology industry. There are no legal questions about this. The question is one of perception. To that end, I'm going to recuse myself from the discussion of these TEKs and voting on these TEKs. So I'm happy to answer any questions or address any concerns.
Mrs. Leo.
I have a question. I don't know if fiduciary counsel or David Anderson may need to address that, but it's not just a perception issue. I think that you cannot. It's not. I don't think that statement is accurate. That you can. I mean, I think you have to recuse yourself from discussion and vote, not just for the perception of it, but it is not legally.
Mr. Anderson?
There are two different standards, and I believe Ms. Leo is referring to Section 7.103 of the Education Code, which is a qualification for office. That is not a statute that has any precedent. That is not a statute that either TEA nor the board itself even has the authority to enforce. That's really a question for the Texas Attorney General, if anyone, in terms of the board members' qualifications. If y'all been elected by your districts, you're on the board as far as we can tell. The other question, though, is conflict of interest, and there are state statutes relating to conflict of interest, and board members who have relationships that they believe cause a conflict of interest or a potential one, I think are well advised to recuse themselves. Several board members have done that in the past, and I understand that that is what Mr. Ratliff is doing in this instance. That's really up to the board member to make that determination.
And then it would be up to the Attorney General to decide if that's qualified.
That's the only method for removing a member who's been elected by the voters in his district.
Okay.
Mr. Garza.
It's different now that I'm over here, right? The Garza's kind of hard to read.
It's definitely different.
I have a question, I guess, that ties into Ms. Leo, and that is this. When the member filed to run for office, did he list his occupation as lobbyist? Because that's what he's now claiming on the website that he is, and his own particular statement right now of recusing himself is parallel or consistent with that. And I think that's important for the body to know, because then the stipulation that Mr. Anderson spoke of earlier is in question in terms of what he listed, because the statement that I signed clearly said that you signed a statement knowing that it is the correct thing to do and consistent with the law.
The answer is yes.
I'm sorry, the member indicated that he had completed his registration filing information as was required. Do I understand correctly, Mr. Ratliff? This is an agenda item. We were taking up first a public hearing, and then we will deal with the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills for Technology Applications.
Madam Chair, excuse me. Was the question, was the answer to the statement was that he did list lobbyist as his occupation on his filing documents? Was that the answer?
The member answered yes. Would the member wish to add any further clarification to the question?
Certainly. I filled out the forms accurately and legally. It's on file with the Secretary of State for God and anybody else to see. I did not mislead anybody in my representation. I've had a website up for 12 years of what I do professionally. This is not a secret.
Mrs. Knight.
Madam, my light is not coming on, so I speak as loud as I can. Oh. Oh, thank you. Madam Chairman, is there a way that we can get some kind of final resolution so this question won't continue to pop up? We've had several meetings where this issue has been raised, so I would wonder if there's some way to finally resolve it so we won't have to hear it every time.
The chair is working with the member and with legal counsel. We probably will be drafting a letter to send over to the Attorney General's office to seek clarification. That answer does not come quickly.
I understand.
That answer will take a while,
Yes.
so it's possible that we will have to wait till there's some finality to the decision. I appreciate that the member, to avoid any possible question, is stating publicly today that so there is not question about his participation on this particular item, he would like to recuse himself. So I think other questions related to ethics may be a little bit more pertinent to our ethics discussion that hopefully we will get to later this morning. But if there are questions as relate to this particular point in our agenda, the ability to deal with the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills for Technology applications, if there are still questions, they would be pertinent at this point before we get into that.
No, I just wanted to thank you, Madam Chairman, for being proactive, and even though I know it takes us a while to get that opinion, thank you.